Hi there, friends. It's Josue William Green, and I want to talk about what's going on in the police department, what's in the news, what's going on at City Hall, a number of things in the city. And I want to talk about these things, and I'm going to speak with authority and certain people, maybe the mayor, possibly Castro, definitely others, will want to say, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, I absolutely do know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell you a great story. And that's why we're here today, to hear a great story. Okay? I'm going to take you way back to 2006. So 19 years ago. 19 years ago, I was a rookie at the LPD. And I was on field training. And one night we're on Broadway. And before I get into all of that, this hat, no affiliation with these people whatsoever. It was a freebie. They were giving it to just random people, and I got a free hat. And I like the colors. That's first. Second, this story directly relates to a pursuit or a non-pursuit that's currently being discussed on all the news outlets and definitely by all of the people in the city that pay attention to what happens here. All right, so back to the story. 19 years ago, I'm a rookie, fresh out of the academy, and I'm happy to be a police officer. Oh, I was happy. And I'm on training. Of course, you're a rookie. What do you want to do? Stop cars. So that's what I did one night. Right? My training officer said, sure, stop a car. Can I stop that car? Sure. Stop that car. Well, the car had issues. We were going to tow it, either summons or arrest the operator. We were discussing options. The tow truck shows up. We hadn't decided what we were going to do yet. We went to address the immediate need of the tow truck operator. We get up, he backs into position, and I'm on the driver's side asking the driver, the operator, and his passengers to step out. They didn't want to. He saw the tow truck. He looked left, he looked right. I told him, I said, hey, don't do it. And he did it, and he took off, and he cut the wheel hard left, right at me. And so my training officer drew his firearm and was actually, maybe he was taking up slack on that trigger. But the kid took off, no shots were fired. We jumped in the cruiser and the chase was on. We were up Broadway, banged her right onto Haverhill Street, shot all the way down Haverhill Street to the end. And remember the cobblestones at the end by the health center that went up to Prospect Street? Well, those were still there when we were chasing this guy. And he goes up, and they had really high curbstones. And so he goes up, he's obviously ahead of us, and he hits the curbstone with his front driver's side tire. Blows out the tire, he's on a rim. But he keeps trucking along. He's in a Lexus SUV, and he keeps going. We're right behind him, and in that little spot, you just get on it the right way, going up that hill. It was the safest way to drift right up that hill. Then gravity would correct. You'd hit Prospect Street like we did, and we just shot out. All right, we're behind them. So we hit Prospect Street. We're going all the way down. And I want to say that he turned left onto Swan Street and then turned right onto East Street, and it was on. Once we hit East Street, we were like 90, 95 miles an hour. Okay, we were. And he was ahead of us. He's flying down East Street. Remember, the dude is on a rim. The sparks flying everywhere. It's just insanity, and we're behind him. Now, we called off the pursuit. There was no pursuit policy at the PD at this time, and we called it off. I'm on training, remember? I didn't touch the microphone. My training officer had it. He called it off, but he left the mic keyed. It was depressed, so we couldn't receive any transmissions. We had no idea what else was going on in the city or who was coming to help us. Now remember this point because it's going to be key later on in the story. 90-95 down East Street. He gets to East Street where it intersects with whatever street that is. Not East Street, Jackson Street. Correction. We went Swan to Jackson across East. And so when we were on Jackson, 95 miles an hour, the intersection of Jackson and East, he hits a manhole cover. The other operator hits a manhole cover and somehow dislodged it so that when I drove over it, I completely removed the manhole cover, it bounced and hit the undercarriage of my cruiser, which I didn't even notice, but I did feel a bump, which was me hitting the open manhole. My tire blew out. Didn't even know it, barely felt it at 95 miles an hour. Kept on after him. I feel a slight jerk. Now I know my tire's gone. And then I feel the rubber, the tire just spit out from underneath us. So we're still going about 90, 95. We're in the chase. I look over at my training officer and I'm like, hey, I think we're on a rim. I think that we just spit the rubber and I felt it bounce underneath the cruiser. I'm like, what are we doing here? He tells me, he's on a rim too. It's a level playing field. Let's go. And I'm like, rookie, excited, wanting to get this. And I'm like, we can do this? All right, let's go. All the way down. Okay, so once we get past that, all of the cruisers are coming for backup because I'm slowing down. Because to be honest, I wasn't really comfortable driving 90, 95 on a rim, on a steering tire. Absolutely not. So I told my training officer, I said, and I started to slow down. And the other cruisers passed us. I think there was State, Methuen, and Lawrence. Everybody heading up Jackson Street. So I'm slowing down. My training officer's like, what are you doing? Get there, get there. Again, I'm like, we could do this? And I got there. Not at 95, much safer speed, but I was still on a rim. I can only imagine that sparks were flying from my cruiser. Whatever, we get down there to 213. They're in the median at 213. We assess the damage, we call a tow truck, they swap it out. Yeah, the kid was taken into custody, but that really isn't the point of the story. They throw the spare, the tow truck driver changes the tire for us, throws the spare on, and that rim that was ground down from driving however many miles at 90 plus speeds, till I slowed down, was thrown in the trunk. It's late at night, we were working late, we went back to the station, we did our job, we parked the cruiser and literally forgot about it. We forgot about it. It was like, okay, let's go. Supervisor told me, why didn't I just throw the rim into the river? Like, well, the thought really hadn't occurred to me to throw the rim into the river. So we go home. Well, the fallout. Remember I told you that my training officer keyed the mic the entire time and we couldn't hear incoming transmissions? Well, because of that, we didn't hear a gun call go out and there was a shooting and a sergeant was off in the alley. The shooter was either there or around the corner and there was only one other officer en route. Everybody else was tied up on this pursuit because everybody jumped in because everybody loves to chase cars. So it created a big stink. Why were we in that pursuit? Why didn't we hear the transmission? Apparently we were called off, but I never heard the fact that we were called off. I didn't hear that radio transmission. Again, the mic was keyed the entire time. I was on training and I was just like, let's go. So, yeah, that began some sort of like, I don't know. I don't want to call it a full-out investigation, but people like looking around. Hey, what happened? Why did this happen? How did this happen? Well, the next day they looked at the cruiser, saw the damage, popped the trunk, saw the rim, and it was just over for us. It was over for us. There was definitely investigation into that one. They found out who was in that car, who was driving, and they brought us into the office. And I'll tell you what, the captain sat behind the desk. Mind you, I am a rookie, loving being there. And I don't want to get fired, but like I knew, like it was bad. I mean, it was bad. So the rim is now in the OIC office. It's behind me. And he looks at us and he says, do I got a couple of fucking retards working for me? And I'm just like, whoo, like, I don't want to get fired. I didn't even say anything in this meeting. My training officer, he tried to take the heat, but it wasn't really working. He looked at me, he's like, you got no common sense. And I'm just there like, not even knowing what to say, you know, like I'm brand new. This guy told me that we were good. Turned out in the end, we were good, but we did have to walk in the wintertime from about January, maybe January, December, all the way to February, March. I'm talking about in the snow, in single digit weather. It didn't matter. We worked early nights. So just imagine how much fun it wasn't walking when everything was closed in the wintertime when no one's around and you're just walking. I mean, one guy pulled up, let me warm up inside the cruiser, and someone saw it, told the supervisor called him over the air, and then basically was like, you don't pick those guys up when they're walking. I was just like, wow, this is serious. But guess what? I still had a job. So the RIM, this is funny too. The RIM was in the OIC office for 2 or 3 years. They even decorated it with Christmas lights. So this wasn't something that was hidden at all. The damage was there. I mean, it was like, it was a joke. I mean, it wasn't a joke to me or the other guy. I mean, we were the ones that took the hit, and that's not how you want to start your policing career. But that's what happened in my pursuit, and nothing ever more came of it. That was the end. We walked. We were miserable. It was, it built character. It wasn't fun, like I said, but I would take that all day, every day, over facing that termination for what happened often. I mean, just ask Jimmy Razzo, right? He was in so many pursuits. The chief sat him down and said he couldn't be on the road. I think it was like maybe a month. It was a while. But that was because he chased someone in Middleton. They crashed, property damage, personal injury, and for what? It wasn't even worth it. So, yeah. Chases happen. Mine, there was no policy. Razzle, there was an order. And now there is an official policy. So when we talk, when I share some insight into what's contained in the Bennett report and into what's contained in the Maverick report, it's because I've experienced things. And if you remember and you've ever watched this channel, I'm not going to give a full refresher here. There's plenty of videos that are still up. Go watch them. And that's really it. And before I sign off here, I want to right a wrong. I want to right a wrong. Because somebody told somebody that worked in the PD that I lied about that pursuit. Well, there's the whole story. That's what happened. When they asked me what happened, I told him what happened. I didn't say that he said we were on a RIM too. I didn't say what we were talking about and the noise inside the cruiser. But I did tell the truth about what happened. I didn't try to hide it. We didn't try to hide anything. There was no intent. We put the RIM in the trunk and left it there. It was like, they'll fix it. Literally, that was the mentality. So there was no lying about that. You know, you never heard the story from me, Tango Charlie. Anyway, Joseph Green. I'm the same guy, a lot happier, a lot happier. I hope that you find some happiness if you don't already. And as always, God bless you, God bless the cops, and God bless the crooks. It's Joseph William Green. You know, we got some other things to talk about, right? It's going to be fun. This season is going to be a fun season. I kind of feel it. I hope you do too. And have a good night.